Imagine your body is like a garden. In a healthy garden, everything is in harmony. The flowers, the insects, the soil, everything is balanced. But what happens when one plant, something that was always there, suddenly starts growing out of control, choking out everything else? That's essentially what happens during a yeast infection. Here's something that surprises many people. Yeast is already living inside your body, right now. Most of the time, it's completely harmless, a quiet resident in a bustling neighborhood. In fact, millions of tiny organisms, including a vast community of bacteria and fungi like yeast, live on your skin and inside your body every single day. This community is called your microbiome, and it's a crucial part of what keeps you healthy. The problem isn't that the yeast is there. The problem starts when that delicate balance gets disrupted. One of the most common types of yeast living in our bodies is a fungus called Candida. When the beneficial bacteria in your microbiome are thriving, they act like friendly neighbors, keeping Candida in its proper place. They maintain an environment where yeast can't just multiply endlessly. But certain situations can tip the scales, creating an opportunity for yeast to grow faster than it should. What kind of situations? Well, common triggers are more frequent than you might think. A big one is antibiotic use. Hormonal changes, like those that happen during pregnancy or from some birth control pills, can also shift the environment. So can conditions like high blood sugar, especially in uncontrolled diabetes, which essentially provides extra food for the yeast to feast on. Even simple lifestyle factors can play a role, like wearing tight, non-breathable clothing or staying in a damp swimsuit for too long, which creates the warm, moist environment where yeast thrives. And finally, anything that weakens the immune system can give yeast an advantage. Think of it like removing the referees from a soccer game. Without the officials to keep things in check, one team, in this case yeast, suddenly starts taking over the entire field. The symptoms of this overgrowth really depend on where it's happening in the body. For vaginal yeast infections, which are incredibly common, affecting about 3 out of every 4 women at some point in their lives, the symptoms can be intensely uncomfortable. We're talking about significant itching, irritation, and a burning sensation, especially during urination. There might also be redness, swelling, and a thick, white discharge that's often compared to cottage cheese. But yeast infections aren't limited to one area. In the mouth, an overgrowth is often called thrush. This can show up as white, slightly raised patches on the tongue, inner cheeks, or the roof of the mouth. It can cause soreness and make eating or swallowing uncomfortable. Yeast can also affect skin folds, places like under the arms, in the groin, or beneath the breasts. These warm, moist areas are perfect breeding grounds, and an infection there usually appears as a red, itchy rash. Now, it's really important to remember this. Many different conditions can cause symptoms that are very similar to a yeast infection. That's why self-diagnosing can be tricky and why getting a proper diagnosis from a healthcare professional truly matters. One of the biggest questions people ask is, I was just on antibiotics for a totally different issue, so why did I suddenly get a yeast infection? It's a fantastic question, and the answer gets right back to that idea of balance. Antibiotics are powerful medicines designed to kill harmful bacteria that cause illnesses like strep throat or a urinary tract infection. The problem is many antibiotics are broad spectrum, meaning they can't tell the difference between the bad bacteria causing your sickness and the good, beneficial bacteria that help keep you healthy. In places like the vagina, a specific type of beneficial bacteria called lactobacillus helps maintain a slightly acidic environment. This acidity is a natural defense that keeps yeast growth in check. But when antibiotics wipe out a large portion of these protective bacteria, that defense shield disappears. The environment becomes less acidic, and Candida seizes the opportunity to multiply rapidly. It's exactly like removing the dedicated gardeners from the garden. Without them there to tend the soil and prune the weeds, an invasive plant can quickly take over. So you have an infection. What now? The good news is that most yeast infections can be treated very successfully. The right approach will depend on the type of infection, its location, and how severe it is. After a proper diagnosis, a healthcare provider will likely recommend an antifungal medication. These are drugs specifically designed to target and kill the overgrown fungus. Some of these treatments are topical, meaning you apply them directly to the affected area. These come in the form of creams, ointments, or suppositories. For other cases, especially for vaginal infections or more stubborn cases, an oral medication might be prescribed, often just a single pill. For most people, relief from the symptoms starts within just a few days of beginning the right treatment. The key is to follow the instructions and complete the full course of medication, even if you start feeling better, to make sure the infection is truly gone. If you've ever searched for this topic online, you've probably been flooded with dozens of home remedies. You'll see suggestions ranging from yogurt and coconut oil to garlic and apple cider vinegar. Some of them might sound convincing, and you might even find anecdotal stories of success. But it's crucial to be cautious. Not every remedy you read about has strong scientific evidence to back it up. Some might offer a little temporary relief, but others could potentially make things worse by causing more irritation. If your symptoms are severe, if they keep coming back, or if they don't improve with an over-the-counter treatment, it is so important to consult a healthcare professional. They can confirm that what you have is actually a yeast infection and not something else that requires a different treatment. Getting the right diagnosis is the first and most important step toward relief. While you can't prevent every single yeast infection, there are definitely some habits that can help support that healthy microbial balance we've been talking about. It's all about creating an environment where yeast is less likely to overgrow. This includes simple things like managing your blood sugar levels, choosing breathable cotton clothing instead of synthetic fabrics, and changing out of wet clothes, like a workout outfit or a swimsuit, as soon as you can. Practicing good hygiene is also key, which means avoiding things like douching or scented feminine products that can disrupt the natural flora. Remember, the goal of prevention isn't to completely eliminate yeast from your body. That's not realistic or even desirable. The goal is to maintain that beautiful, healthy balance. So, what exactly is a yeast infection? After all this, we can see it's not some scary invasion from an outside germ. It's usually an overgrowth of a normal, natural organism that's simply grown out of balance. And once you understand that simple fact, the entire condition becomes much less mysterious and much easier to manage. Your body is a remarkable, complex ecosystem. And just like any ecosystem, good health is very often about maintaining its delicate and powerful balance. For more science-backed explanations of the human body, follow CellWise Health.